Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Digital-Motorsports.com YouTube channel, and welcome to the final round of the IDMC V8 Supercars Cup. And what a track we have got to finish off this summer season. It is Bathurst, Mount Panorama, the home of the V8 Supercars, the home of the Bathurst 1000, which is coming up as well on the iRacing as well. It's a good practice for these guys. But we have a championship to decide. We incorrectly called it last week, but there is still a mathematical chance that we can have a different champion, but Oscar Mangan takes an 88-point advantage into this race. A maximum of 100 can be scored, so he has a very, very good chance of taking it home. My name is Jack Canal, as always. Normally alongside me is Kevin Galvin, but Niall Maher is finally back, and he's on the comms this week. Niall, how are you?
Great, Jack. It's what a pleasure to be back for the final round. I think it's just fitting that I'm here, but unfortunately Kevin couldn't make it. But yeah. Sorry, everybody. You're going to have to put up with me again for tonight. But I'll make sure, Jack, you get the most shouting in, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And, well, unfortunately, of course, we're going to miss out on useless facts with Kevin, but I'm sure he's going to get it in somehow if he's watching on the YouTube chat. But absolutely, yeah, the final round, round 6 of the championship, brings us to Bathurst. And this is basically the best place you can bring a V8 supercar. Such a tight and twisty circuit. There's no runoff in most of the areas up on the mountain, and it is going to be a case of who's going to keep it out of the wall and who's going to keep it safe for this one. Race stewards, as always, Rob King and Sean McGinley are on duty this evening, dealing with all of the incidents. Of course, they just had a few from last week, not too many, but we should have some. I'm assuming we're going to have a few more this week, just to the nature of the circuit. But a lot of pressure now on anybody who's chasing Oscar Mangan in the championship. They've got 88 points to make up in this one, and we've got plenty of stuff to go. As you can see on cameras this evening as well is Roland Hederman. Of course, he's now been basically permanently put in that job, replacing Niall, who's got promoted. We'll call it a promotion, won't we, Niall?
Yeah, please do. It absolutely. I always love being part of the streams. I don't know how long we've been doing them now, Jack, but this for me is the one I've been looking forward to the most. I'm not sure about you, but I when we put this series together, it was always going to be Mount Panorama right at the end. Get everyone used to the cars, and yeah, to see them all clatter over the mountain. So I'm looking forward to this the most. But just to the point with 88 points, it just shows how dominant Oscar has been in this. And as I look down through our top 10, second in championship currently Josh Malin, then Ronan Doherty. Arturas Condelis is in 4th, James Holman in 5th, Fabrizio Rivera in 6th, Keith Dempsey in 7th, Rory O'Shea 8th, Brian McManus 9th, and Richard Dempsey, I was going to say Richard Lyons and Peter Dempsey sharing 10th and 11th, and Peter McCann 12th, and I could go on. But what a list is that, Jack? Like, that is, at the start of this season, we would have picked anyone in that top 10, top 11 and said they're in with a shout, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And we have 2 former champions up at the top of the standings. It's Oscar and Josh, and it's been great to see. Look how close Josh is getting to those walls at the top of the mountain as well. He was ragging this thing around Road America last week, and had an unfortunate spin off battling with Oscar Mangan. Those two have had superb fights throughout the season. Josh, of course, is the reigning champion from the previous season, and Oscar, of course, from the Porsche Carrera Series, and they've been fighting out all season. Josh missed a few rounds, of course, as well, but it would have been great, of course, to have him in for the rest. But he's got 88 points to make up. It's still mathematically possible. He would need Oscar to have an absolute disastrous round, which is looking less and less likely. Oscar's been so consistent throughout the season, and I think Roland Doherty deserves a fair play for everyone, because he's up in 3rd in the championship. He took his first win last week after 3 attempts around the whole season to get himself a win. He won in heat race number 1, fully deserved, and I think he's improved drastically over the course of the season. He's up in 3rd in a championship this competitive. It certainly deserves a hat tip from us, and he's not been in the the Digital-Motorsports season for too long compared to some of our regulars, and he's on a very, very good trajectory of improvement. in this series, which is fantastic to see as Keith Dempsey comes across. So nice to have Keith back. I think he's been missing the last 2 rounds, and he was really up there fighting with the two. Peter Dempsey's back, of course, this week as well, and the first laps are coming in. Doherty slots into second just behind Peter Dempsey. It's a long lap round here. 2 minutes 4.7 is the pole. It'll make that a 2:04.3 as Mangan goes to pole. It's just in front of Peter Dempsey by just under 0.4 of a second, and he's now going to get get himself another lap under his belt here. So a very long lap here. You maybe only get 3 attempts at a lap here. If you graze the wall, of course, that is an invalidation. It's very, very, very easy to graze a wall, even slightly. You'll pick up a 0x, and that'll be immediately a invalidation. But I think as well with Bathurst, Niall, I hope somebody's going to try it at the end of the race. I don't know if you've ever tried it, the jump at the end of the straight.
Well, it's interesting you're saying that, because we were in driver's briefing, and I don't know who asked, but I'm sure Rob and Sean, I had to message the 2 stewards after the race to say there'd been a gentleman's agreement that I believe whoever did do the biggest jump would get a Digital Motorsports t-shirt. But we've yet to see, Jack, if that's actually that's the way this pans out. But of course, our races are always run as real as we can to real world rules. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But for me, just to go back to the point I was making with Oscar, anybody in that top 10, as we're looking at the times coming in, at the start of this championship was well within a shout of winning this. And to see Oscar dominate so much, I'm actually really surprised by it, but it's no taking away from the skills that Oscar obviously has. But how do you think about it, Jack? Because you've done a lot of commentary and a lot of race series, and like Oscar's obviously well respected in iRacing. But did you expect to see that much of a dominance here?
No, not really, I suppose, because we have had such a close season last season, and for Oscar to come in and he's got such a large points advantage over everybody, I think it shows that his consistency of results has been the biggest, I guess, hindrance to everybody else. As well, of course, some of his championship rivals have missed rounds and so forth, but that's absolutely not taken away from how good Oscar Mangan has driven. I mean, you've seen him in the reverse grid races, just powering through, pulling serious overtakes. He's got really good racecraft, really good as well sportsmanship as well. We've seen it on 2 occasions. One of them, of course, being when he got into the back of Peter Dempsey in the last corner at one of the rounds. He backed right off and let Peter have the win, backing him off. And as well, last week, of course, with Josh, when he got into Josh, and he waited and dropped all the way to the back of the field, because Josh was at the back of the field, and he dropped all the way behind to the back of the field, and he still managed to get a top 5 anyways. So Oscar is really a fantastic driver, and well, he's not champion yet. We incorrectly called it last week, but he's almost basically got one hand on it after this heat race. If he takes this heat race, he, of course, and I think Josh is lower than 3rd, and that'll be his championship confirmed, but still plenty of time. Richard Lyons popping into 4th, and one of the few drivers who has real-world experience in these V8 Supercars, pops into P4. Arturas Kundalis is up to P4 right now. It's impressive from Arturas, and he's also 4th in the championship in this moment as well. Had a decent result last time. And Josh Malin now on his way down through the chase into the braking zone for the chicane at the end of the Conrad Straight. Throws it in, plenty of opportunities there to spin it and up onto the curb. You got to use all those curbs as best you can. These cars are well able to take it down towards the last corner. Now this is of course the last corner up towards Hell Corner is turn 1. Up on the power, Josh Malin. Let's see where he's going to be able to go. He goes up to pole. There you go, 2:04.013 for Josh Malin. Oscar Mangan is on a lap right now, 0.3 of a second quicker is Josh Malin. Let's see what Oscar Mangan can do, bouncing over that curb. That is close to 180 miles an hour on the brakes. These cars are well able to do that. 635 brake horsepower as well up on the curb for Mangan, down towards the last corner. He comes now in his Ford Mustang. Holden Commodore holds pole at the moment. Round the last corner he goes. Very tricky corner, very easy to run wide out here. Here comes Oscar Mangan. What's his time going to be? It's going to be enough for pole. It is a fantastic lap, 203.999, just by 14 thousandths of a second.
Wow.
He just gets it around Bathurst. That is literal centimeters.
That is unbelievable. And with only 20 seconds to go in qualifying. So we were just talking about, I thought Josh had done it there, but look at that, those times down through the top 10, Jack. We're in for one hell of a race here.
We absolutely are, Andrew. And not only do we get one, we get two races. The second one being reverse top 15 inverted for race 2. And Oscar Mangan grabs another pole position, but incredibly close between the top two. Peter Dempsey, about 0.7 of a second back in P3 than Roland Darty, our tourist conductors. We'll run through your grid in just a second's time. As here is the grid. Oscar Mangan and Josh Malin on the front row. Peter Dempsey and Roland Darty on row 2. Arturas Cundalis and Fabrizio Rivera with a good qualifying in 6th. Richard Lyons in P7. Keith Dempsey down in 8th. Rob Moore in 9th. And James Holman in P10. Then, a little ways further down, Brian McManus in P11, alongside teammate Peter McCann in P12. And further down, then, P13, Tony Stack, Rory O'Shea, 14th. And currently occupying reverse third pole, Kevin Shine is back on the grid this week. Adam Dowling, P16, Juan Montero in P17, Ben McClockery, Keith Stewart, and Mark Birney in P20. For this race, but this is going to be a fantastic 2 races. We get Mangan versus Malin again this week, and just 100th of a second separates them in qualifying around a 2-minute lap. This is going to be amazing, and we know Oscar's even admitted it, that Josh has the measure of him on the start. He doesn't know what he's doing with the clutch, but Josh has been amazing off the line. Oscar, not quite as good, so Josh could be the one to take the lead at turn 1, unless Oscar's found something with the starts here, as we're getting ready to go in just a second's time. We're waiting for Peter Dempsey to pop onto the grid here in P3, so you just see the missing grid slot in 3rd. 2 minutes to grid up here. Bathurst, Ford Mustang, Holden Commodore, P1 and 2. There is Dempsey onto the grid here at Bathurst. 20 cars heading towards turn 1. It's the second to last race of the championship. Mangan on your right, Malin on your left. Red lights on. And we are go at Bathurst. Mangan with a good start, but again, Malin has an epic start from P2, and he's jumped Mangan into turn 1. Peter Dempsey gets in front too as they come through Hell Corner for the first time. Off the road, Roland Darty's gone way too wide at turn 1, has to rejoin into the middle of the pack right here. They all make it through turn 1 safely. Up towards the mountain they come for the first time, but Josh Malin once again beating Mangan off, and again Cundalis has managed to get past Mangan as well. Up towards the top of the hill they come. Malin, Peter Dempsey P2, Arturas Cundalis up to 3rd, and Mangan under severe pressure now. Rivera is now alongside and coming up towards this next corner. He's on his outside up towards the mountain. He's not going to get around the outside there, but Mangan once again, Niall, not able to get these starts right.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it back down through the field. Definitely, Josh is just able to get that power down. I was just looking at a set of 11s left behind Oscar Mangan. He obviously just lit up the rear wheels, but all the way down into Griffin. Whoever is going to get in through Hell Corner after that run, and just look at this. Josh is just putting the boot down, but he's got danger man Peter Dempsey right behind him, Jack. But we'll see at the end of this race. So just looking back, Oscar Mangan down in 4th. What a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not been a good start for Oscar Mangan. We're looking back at Keith Dempsey down in P7, up behind Rob Moore and that big train in front of him here. So a lot of work to do for Oscar Mangan and for Keith as well to make their way up through the field as best they can. Here comes Pete Dempsey, got into the wall down through the bottom section of the mountain. You can see the damage on the left hand side of the car. Saw him lock up and go straight on into that wall. And Cundalis now has an opportunity to go around the outside of the chase right here. It looks like Dempsey's got bent again, steering, and Mangan's going to go for him on the outside line through here. That's brave stuff from Mangan, and he goes up the inside into the braking zone and gets up the inside safely past Peter Dempsey, thankfully, who has carrying that left-hand side damage. Battling going on here, Rob Moore and Richard Lyons side by side down the hill as they come into the last corner of Murray's. Up the inside he goes, and Rob Moore slots up into that next position, but again Lyons with a lovely switch back up underneath him. Down towards Hell Corner they come again. Dempsey's in the pit lane to get his fast repair and repair the left-hand side of the car. Lyons trying to get back up the inside. Moore leaves him lots of space, and he gets back through. On the inside, James Holman trying to make his way through as well. Up towards the mountain they come again, looking as well to keep an eye on what's going on in front. Keith Dempsey's making up great positions. Well, he's up 3 places now to P4. He goes past Rivera. So now Keith Dempsey's in the mix, which is exactly what we want to see from Keith. But back to these guys. McManus up the inside of Holman. Doherty's quite wide there, and McCann is going to have a look on his outside now. Up towards the mountain they come. He's going to back out of that one. No way through for these guys. Very, very clean start from these guys, especially at Bathurst, to get through these first couple of laps safely. But you can see already the gap from Malin back to Cundless is already 3 seconds. So Malin has absolutely checked out. He knows he needs to build a gap, because if it does finish the way it is, then mathematically he still stays in the championship. Just
about, Jack. I'm just doing the maths on it here, but of course he's already up to 3 seconds, and that lead is extending out. But now we'll see if Oscar can get the run on Condellis out of here. He had a great line. Just see him take a little bit wider earlier onto the power. Now we'll see. But Oscar made this look really easy going past Peter Dempsey, didn't he? So obviously Peter had a bit of damage, and as you were saying, maybe with the steering lock on that was slowing that car down. But Oscar unable to close up on the back of Condellis now. So we just all playing into Josh's hands at the moment, Jack.
Yeah, of course, but the gap is still massive in the championship for Malin to capitalise. He basically needs Oscar to have a non-finish in this race for it to be viable. The gap needs to be less than 50 points going into the next race, and it's standing at 88, so there's still very much in the hands of Oscar Mangan at the moment. So if he finishes where he is, then he will secure that title anyways, as Malin says the fastest lap of the race at the moment. He's having a look here. Roland Doherty trying to go around the outside of McManus through Murray's. He's also going to watch out for Peter McCann, who's right up underneath the bumper as well. He's pushing Doherty up towards the first corner. McManus on the inside. Doherty leaving him room on that inside line, and he goes round that outside into Hell Corner. McCann checks up, tries to pass McManus now. A little bit of a squeeze going on there between VRA. Lansdowne up the hill they come for the next time, trying to make his way past here as they come up the straight. What a great camera angle this is down towards this next corner. The drone shots capturing the side-by-side between the teammates. McCann round the outside of this next corner gets a little bit sideways. McCann gets on the power a little bit earlier. Up the hill they come again, and up towards through the mountain they come. Rory O'Shea trying to make his way through past there, but that is a wonderful camera angle down the straight up towards the mountain. And let's see McCann trying to make his way past McManus, who's carrying some front end damage right there, grazing that wall up the mountain. Down through this next part up towards McPhillamy Park. Very easy to graze the wall there on that concrete bit on the outside. Tricky corner over the crest before you enter into... This is the drop down the mountain, the infamous drop down the mountain. It's a little lock up from McManus on the way down there. You can see very easy to snatch a break again. He snatches a break through there, really throwing the car through there. It looks like Keith Dempsey's had an off in front here as he's dropped 2 places, dropping down the order very quickly. Oh, someone's gone off in the Forest Elbow. Dempsey's around in Forest Elbow. Let's have a look right here. He's dropped down the mountain, and let's see. We're going to have a look to see what happened to Keith in Forest Elbow here. He's round the corner, grazes that wall through there, and just straight into the wall. Oh, and hits the end of the tyre bale right there. Very unlucky. And Rob Moore, just a really slow impact. Nowhere really for him to go there, unfortunately. So Dempsey drops down the order as back to front. Look at this. Cundless coming back at Oscar Mangan. He's not letting them go here. Round the outside of the last corner. Cundless massive hit at the curb from there. But Oscar up to P2 right now. Just got past, but now Cundless trying to keep pace, but Mangan back up to second now. 4.6 seconds up to Malin is the gap. And now we'll have to see if Malin can hang on to this, because, well, right now Oscar just needs to hold position, and that'll be enough for him to secure the championship. There'll be a 10-point difference between P1 and P2, so the gap would be 78 points going into the next round, which would be enough for Oscar Mangan to secure the championship into the last round. But still plenty of shuffling going around in the rest of the championship as well. This is James Holman, big slide from Peter McCann in the background there as he head up through this section. But James Holman trying to keep himself in the top 5 in the championship as well, which is would be a great result for James. And Rob Moore keeping him honest behind. Roland Doherty up in front of him, who sits P3 in the championship. So ideally he needs to finish in front of him to get himself up the order going into the next into the final race of the championship. Up through McPhillamy Park now, you can see, look at this Dowling, massive slide through the through right there. Can we get a replay of Adam Dowling's save right there? Superb. And just about hanging on to it at the one of the fastest corners of the track at the top of the mountain. Have a look here. Did he get a little bit of help from Keith Dempsey here? Down the inside, gets a bit loose right there. Oh, that's a massive save from Adam. And Keith got through fairly, but Adam, wow, he's gonna need some new trousers, I think.
Yeah, that was a major code brown. But I'm just looking here. Oscar Mangan not able so far, Jack, to get that 4.5 seconds down. So he's definitely got the bit between his teeth and his head down onto the back of Josh Malin. But if he just holds position, as you said, unfortunately for Josh, there's not much he can do in this championship at this stage.
No, unfortunately not. He needs to outscore Mangan by 40 points in this race to make it even mathematically possible. So it's a huge task ahead of Josh Malin, which he needs Oscar Mangan to make a big error, which we've rarely seen from Oscar. So just for reference, Oscar would need to finish lower than 20th, which is impossible. So that's the problem that faces Josh Malin. So no matter what he does, it's not going to matter in this race. So we're gonna just head down, look at these guys further down. This is Juan Montero and Keith Stewart, Kevin Shine in the background as well. Keith's gonna go for a move here on the outside of Montero up the hill, dropping over the crest. He's gone alongside, he's got half a car length in front of the braking zone. Montero's gonna try keep it on the inside, but good braking there from Keith Stewart gets him in front. Now up to Tony Stack, who's got Adam Dowling right behind him now after his massive moment up the hill this time. Adam just trying to find some space to get past Tony here. Up the hill he comes and trying to keep space in there now. It gives you a kind of an idea of the speed they're carrying down this part of the circuit. Nipping the curb on the left, just not using too much of the road through McPhillamy Park. And that's a very tricky corner, that one, and then dropping over the hill into this some of the best sections in the world right there that they're coming down into Forest Elbow, and just making it look very easy. But I can tell you right now, it is not easy at all to get this done. James Holman under pressure from Rob Moore here as he comes down the Conrod Straight and heading up towards the chase now. He's got Rob Moore right in his slipstream, and this is approaching 300 kilometers an hour of speed down into the chase right now. Is Moore going to have a look here into the chicane? He's looking through the chase right now. Look at the speed there. Rob Moore looks to the inside of the corner. Can he get stopped for the chicane? Yes, he can, just about. Keeps out of the grass, checks up underneath James Holman, but technically speaking, he made the move stick, so he's just about got that stop. But James Holman back up his inside into Murray's now as they all begin to stack up around the outside. Keeps it in, Rob Moore around Murray's, and now watch out for Peter McCann and the lads behind, McManus and O'Shea. Up towards the hill corner they come now. Still the inside line for Holman, and plenty of space given by him there. Squeeze him out, still side by side on the exit now. Moore is just half a car length in front up towards the mountain. Once again, McManus tucked into the slipstream of these guys here, trying to decide who to go with. Does he go with Holman? Does he go with Moore? He stays in the middle of the road. McCann's trying to find some space here. Still absolutely side by side. Through the right they go. Moore gets in front just about there and finally gets the move stuck on James Holman. 3 to 4 corners of pure side by side. Almost half the lap of Bathurst side by side. And they somehow managed to finally get it together as O'Shea has a massive slide in the back right there. And that was a great bit of racing between those two right there. Very fair, plenty of space given, but plenty of hard racing at the same time.
Yeah, and with 4 laps to go, I'm just looking. So nothing really changed up front. So I'm just wondering, is Oscar decided, you know what, let's just get the championship in the bag? And as I say that, he's got it down to 4 seconds as I'm looking at it. But this is the racing we wanted to see at the back as we look at Oscar here. But absolutely epic racing, and it just shows the standard we have in this league, Jack. Right, like you've driven these cars around here. I've tried to drive these cars around here. To do that at that pace, that consistency, banging doors, and not putting each other into a wall or off is just it shows the respect that we have in this league as well.
Yeah, and they're not done with it yet. Holman's just got back past again. Rob Moore down towards the chase. They're still side by side, and Holman just gets himself in front with the slipstream. So Rob Moore carrying some damage, and he's going to try to chuck it back up the inside. Can't quite find the space right there. He's carrying a small bit of front end damage, and just to see, look at that out front, exactly the same time Josh Mail and Oscar Mangan on that lap at 2:04.948 each. They're matching each other to the absolute thousandth of a second around a over 2 minute lap. So Josh is really doing, there it is, look at that, 2:04.948, 2:04.948. They're the fastest men on the circuit as well at the moment, so nobody can catch them out front. So down up the hill they come again. McManus trying to keep with Rob Moore. He's also going to watch his mirrors for Rory O'Shea, who's right behind him as well, trying to make it a firm top 10. He's really looking at the inside right there. McManus shuts the door up into the right-hander, and he's trying to hang on with the damage he's got as well. He's got a good bit of damage on the left-hand side of the car, and he's obviously had some contact with the wall at some point, and has really pushed in that left side. So I'd imagine he's got some steering damage maybe, and some aero damage as well, which really does affect you. You'd think it wouldn't in these cars, but it definitely does. Now up the mount, we're getting an onboard now of the mounting. You can see it's just constantly fighting at the wheel to keep this car in a straight line. You're using the curb right there all the way out to the wall. Then you can't see McPhillamy Park. You're going to turn in and hope that you're going to make it here. And then dropping down the hill, you can see absolutely none of the circuit. You've got to brake and hope that you get it right. Keep it to the right, keep it to the left, then back again, down a few gears, down to first gear for McManus there, back up to second, short shifting, then back on the power again. It's non-stop at Bathurst. Down through the left again, and dropping into Forest Elbow, braking now, down the gears, and trying to keep it nice and straight before you get a good run out down the Conrod straight. You've got to get a good exit there, or you're going to get eaten alive down the straight. He did get a good exit there. They brought McManus down in the slipstream of Rob Moore, just trying to break it as well a little bit is Rob Moore, up and over the crest, heading down towards the chase, which is the flat out corner, the fastest corner on the circuit there before you break into the chicane. All the way out to the left, lots of tarmac you can use there, flicking it in, and then getting ready to brake just in the dip right there, down to the second gear, little lock-up from Rob Moore there, back to the right again, and the run down to Murray's is a crucial one as well, and also the exit out of Murray's will decide how good your lap is here. Onto the brakes again, very tight corner this one, another snatch of the brake from Rob Moore there, onto the power of McManus, and that's the kind of the final sector, with the second and last sector of Bathurst. You can just see how hard they're having to work all the time to keep this car in a straight line, while also watching their mirrors and not letting anybody pass them. It's a real art, and to think in about a week and a half we have the Bathurst 1000, so I'm sure some of these lads will be trying it because they've got plenty of experience in the V8 Supercars now, but that is 5.5 hours of flinging this thing around Bathurst, and it's really a challenge. Of course, you can do it solo, I wouldn't recommend it, but 5.5 hours of throwing these things around would certainly tire you out, and if you are racing this hard for the whole time as well, it'd be even more draining as well. Gap out front now opens out to 4.7 seconds, so Josh is in absolute firm control of this, and unless he makes an error, then it's going to be too hard for Oscar Mangan to catch up to him here. But unfortunately the efforts are going to be all in vain anyways for Josh Malin, because Oscar's going to wrap up this championship at the end of this race, and I can confirm my maths are actually correct this time, so it's going to be a case of 50 versus 40 in the points. Gap stands at 88, 10 points difference, 78 points at the end, so it's maximum 50 points in the second round, so there's nothing really that Josh Malin can do about this. But that's not to take away from how really great he's driving. Opens the gap out to 5 seconds now. As we look back to the battle for P4, it's Fabrizio Rivera, who's trying to get past Richard Lyons here as they come up to the start-finish line. Around the last corner they come, and guys out front 205. You can see Josh was 0.7 of a second quicker on that lap, so I wondered did Oscar have a little error on that lap there to have a 0.7 of a second deficit, or either Josh had it absolutely together on that lap. But Rivera is kind of matching that pace, 205.7 for Rivera that lap, and he's got Richard Lyons right in front of him, really putting the pressure on. Here is the Italian. Up the hill they come again, approaching the mountain, trying to keep this Italian behind is Richard Lyons, and it's going to be a tough task though as they come up to the mountain, turning around the right-hander. Back to these guys for a moment. McManus still trying to get past Rob Moore here. He's got a good run in him up towards the mountain. He might have a little look to the inside here. He might be a little bit too far back as well, unless he decides to go for it on the brakes. No, not close enough this time, Brian McManus. And looks like James Holman is currently still trying to hang on against Rob Moore, against McManus, O'Shea and McCann. He's under a lot of pressure, is James Holman, but he's soaking up very well as round goes. McManus. McManus has binned it on the exit of the hairpin. Just got on the power a little bit too early there and sent it spinning into the wall. Did very well to hang on to with the damage. Anyway, here he is. And yeah, very common mistake there, Niall, just on the power too early. Very good avoiding action by Rory O'Shea as well. I'm
sure Brian is, well, did he stay out of everyone's way there? Oh yeah, like, I'm sure this is why virtual racing is the best, or digital motorsports, because if that was Brian's real car, there isn't a straight panel on that car at this stage, Jack, right? He's got away lightly in terms of, he's got a night's racing and hasn't cost him a penny. But look at that, as Robert, he's getting it all types of sideways here. So with one lap to go, I'm just looking, as Oscar Mangan running trouble, Jack, up the front.
I think he has.
Yeah,
he's in the way. He's hit the wall. Look at the left-hand side of the car. He's been in the wall. Oscar, he's blown the engine. Has he blown the engine? He's blown the engine. God. Oscar Mangan's blown the engine on the way into the pit lane. Surely not. He's in pit lane, crawling the car up towards the pit lane. Late drama on the final lap. Oscar Mangan is going to not finish this race. This is unbelievable. Wow, Oscar Mangan's gone into the wall, blown the engine on the way into pit lane, and that has just thrown it totally up in the air in this final bit. Look at that smoke out of the back of the car, and he locks up the rear diff all the way into the pit lane as well. How does that change things? Massive change right here. He's not going to make it to his pit box. He is not going to finish this race. Wow, you cannot write this stuff. You cannot write it. Josh Malin is going to secure this. Does that mean a 0 points finish for Oscar Mangan? Because if it does, then we do have a championship still to decide here, albeit that's it. It's going to be much closer. Rob Moore, huge save on the way through the right-hander there. Again, we're having massive saves here, and well, this is the most dramatic as anything here in the last few laps of this race. He's now, look at this, Keith Dempsey on the charge, trying to get past Kevin Shine here. Kevin doing his best to hang on here versus Keith Dempsey, trying to make the car as wide as possible up through the hill. And we will see in just a moment if he can make that stick. But Kevin had every right to defend that position. And well, as they come around this next part of the circuit, Keith Dempsey just going to really hang it out on the outside. Keith Dempsey absolutely on the limit, around the outside right there. And, well, thankfully, I think for Oscar that he will still score points. So it's still enough for him, I think, to secure the title. But Josh Malin, there was a glimmer of hope for him as he comes round the last corner. He takes the win in heat race number 1, gets it all kinds of sideways on the way out. He takes heat race number 1, and he comes across the start-finish line. But thankfully, Oscar anyways will secure the title, even with that late drama. From that, Arturas Kundalis, brilliant P2. Richard Lyons hangs on to P3. Fabrizio Rivera, Doherty, Holman will hang on as Rory O'Shea and Rob Moore are going to fight out to the line here. Look at this, Rory O'Shea with a massive run down towards the last corner. Late on the brakes from Rory, trying to hang it around the outside. Rob's going to leave him a little bit of room there, run for the line. I think Rob Moore should just about have that, and he does hang on to that position. Adam Dowling, P10. And Tony Stack comes across P11. Peter Dempsey, McManus, and then Keith Dempsey will cross the line for P15. Well, Brian has got no car left and he's going to limp it across the line here. Look at that. That is what the car's supposed to look like normally, apart from the missing bumper on the front end. McManus and Dempsey with Kevin Shine, McClockery and Montero. So that is drama, and well, thanks to Chris McCann for calculating the points. Mathematically, actually, it's just about still on with Mangan. He, of course, completed 60% of the race, which means he does score points, but not all of them, of course. But it's 11 points he scores, so the gap, believe it or not, is 49 going into the final round. So it's still possible.
Jack, but we've been doing this. How many years have we been going out to Mondello or line, and every time we say it just can't get better, right? Just every single time we do a Digital Motorsports Championship, we're just like, you can't write this, it can't get better, and we keep overhyping it, and then all of a sudden you get this race, and you can't make it up, right? It's 1 point left. Josh still has a chance. We're down to the last race. And Oscar has to come from the back, basically, not crash. That's the championship. But we know he's not going to do that. He's going to want to win this race, right? So it's all down to the last race. This is what we wanted, Jack.
Yeah. So wow. Josh Malin has kept it alive in P1, winning heat race number 1. Arturas Kundal is brilliant result for Arturas there, P2. And Richard Lyons on the podium. Fabrizio Rivera in 4th. Ronan Doherty then. Then we have James Holman, Rob Moore, Rory O'Shea, Peter McCann, Adam Dowling, Tony Stack, Peter Dempsey, Keith Stewart, Brian McManus, and I think that move from Keith was so crucial in the last time. He's going to start on the pole for the final race as well. And Josh will start 15th. Oscar Mangan will start from 19th on the grid. And he has got to, well, of course, he's still in a good amount of control here in this championship. It's 49 points the gap. So Josh has absolutely got to win this race. Well, I mean, you can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. And we will now be just taking a short breather here on digitalmotorsports.com. We're just being in the warm. Do not miss race 2. We'll be back after a quick few messages from the people who make this championship possible. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few minutes.
They say that perfection doesn't exist in this game. Most players just don't have it in them. But those who dare to seek it might catch excellence. And that sounds perfect to me. So, I'm done playing. Let's drive.
Enjoying what you're watching and want to become the next sim racing star? Here at Digital-Motorsports.com, not only can we supply all the parts, but we can custom build your dream simulator rig from start to finish. Just like we have done for world famous drivers like rally legend Craig Breen, drift superstars James Dean and Conor Shanahan. We can build, deliver and set up your full custom simulator rig in your home and offer round the clock support to keep you racing to the top. To find out more, visit Digital-Motorsports.com.
Welcome back to Bathurst and the final round of the IDMC V8 Supercars Cup. And wow, if you missed race 1, then you missed a very dramatic race, a dramatic finale. And we have a championship now to decide in the final round, albeit Oscar Mangan still in a very, very good position here to take the championship with a 49-point gap. But Josh Malin, he needs to win this race to make it possible. So let's see if he can. It's still a massive, massive, massive task. So Oscar needs to keep it clean for these first few laps. Of course, if he DNFs, then that's going to be a big issue for him in the first few laps. But if he at least complete 60% of the race, then that's going to allow him to score points. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in that one. But really, that is just something that you just cannot ride. Oscar Mann goes into the wall, blows the engine on the way into the pit lane as well. Luckily, he did that on the final lap. Otherwise, it could have been a very different story and no points scored. But there's your results anyway. Josh Malin taking the win and just enough to keep it alive for the final round of this race. But he still got a huge task in front of him, because if he doesn't win, then he has basically zero chance of taking this championship. All Oscar Mangan needs to do is get that car across the line, and he will really have a really good shot at taking this championship. So really, it's still very much on, but there's still a huge amount of work for both Oscar and especially Josh to do in this race. But Josh has done it before, to come from P15 to take a victory. But you have some really tough guys up at the top of the front row for this next race. You've got Keith Dempsey and Brian McManus on the front row for this next race. So Keith back up in the position really where we expect him to be after that race 1 incident, spinning off in Forest Elbow, and managing to get back to P15 with a really send-it move around the outside of Kevin Shine to get it done. And we're just ticking down the final few moments of warm-up. Here it is then, the last race of the season, the title decider. Keith Dempsey is on pole with Brian McManus, Keith Stewart and Peter Dempsey row 2, Tony Stack, Adam Dowling row 3, then Peter McCann and Rory O'Shea P7 and P8, Rob Moore P9, James Holman P10, Ronan Doherty P11, and Fabrizio Rivera in P12. Then Richard Lyons and Arturis Gundalas P13 and P14. Josh Malin, there he is, P15. Kevin Shine P16. McCloughery, Montero, Mangan on the last row with the grid P19. And Mark Birney P20. So lots and lots that can still happen here. It's looking unlikely that if Oscar does get that minimum race distance completed, he's gonna get it anyway. But we're gonna have a look and see what happens. Nothing is written in the stars here. Here we go. The feature race, the last race of the season is go. Fantastic start from Keith Dempsey, massive bog down from McManus, and it's a Dempsey 1-2 down towards the first corner already. Keith Dempsey with a second lead out of turn 1 already. Looking down the order then, through to turn 1 they come, nice and safely it seems, all the way through the order. Good start from Josh Malin, Mangan up to 17th place, trying to make places here. Here's McManus after that poor start. As we come up the hill then, Rob Moore trying to get past Peter McCann here on the inside on the first lap here. 15 lap race out of these guys. Onto the brakes, Rob Moore slots in front. As you can see, Rory O'Shea as well, trying to get Adam Dowling lock up there from McCann, and he's going to lose a lot of positions here if he's got to try and keep that inside line up the hill. Oh, spin in the back. Who's in the wall? McCloughery and Kevin Shine in the wall in the background in turn number 2. Real stack up here at the top of the mountain. As we look back here, this is what happened further down in the order. Kevin Shine just coming together with McCloughery got loose, and Kevin Shine got collected with the oversteer. Really unfortunate for Kevin Shine there. Innocent victim in that one. As we come over the hill towards McPhillamy Park, it's Dempsey, McManus, Tony Stack up to 4th. Adam Dowling runs in P5. O'Shea, Moore, Holman, Doherty, McCann, your top 10. Malin runs 12th, and Mangan runs 16th at the moment. Around this next corner they come again. But this is going to be still a long race to go. 15 laps of Bathurst is a long race. Tony Stack with a big lock up into Forest Elbow there. Down the Conrad Straight, but Keith Dempsey doing an excellent job. What a start he got as well. He was a second in front as they came into the first corner.
And I'm just looking here, like, how easy would it have been for Oscar Mangan to get collected up, but unfortunately that's Kevin Shine's race over as we look at Oscar here. But up front we've got the two Dempseys, pulling away from Brian McManus. Awful start from Brian, but it just shows how hard it is to get the power down in these cars, Jack, and get away from that line.
It really is, yeah. We heard from Oscar as well that he forgot to set his clutch on the grid the last time he got eaten alive at the start. Rory O'Shea the inside, massive hit of the curb on the way through, gets the job done on Adam Dowling, just about there. Look at this pack of cars coming down towards turn number 1. They're nearly 3 abreast into turn 1 in the background there. Peter McCann in the middle of that one, in that big stack up. Josh Malin's in the middle of this melee as well. Look at him up to P11, gets past Rivera there with powering around the outside. Kundelis as well, trying to keep with them as they come round this next corner. Another position, McCann lets Josh Malin through up towards this next corner. He's up to P10 now, inside the top 10. Oh, contact! Big moment there, and into the wall, just about avoiding everyone else. Rivera almost collecting with a huge accident. The guys behind right there, little bit of contact right there, and Rivera was spat into the wall with a huge off up towards this next corner. Wow, that was almost a race-ending crash for multiple people there. They managed to get through unscathed, thankfully for the rest of them. But Adam Dowling now at the mercy of Rob Moore, Josh Malin, McCann, Kundelis, Lyons and Mangan, who's keeping it very safe in this race. He knows what he needs to do is complete the 60% of the race and score the points that he needs to score. Josh Malin absolutely has got to get up to P1, but that's going to be a car cutting that bit of the circuit right there. That was Peter McCann, who had to take the escape road. Kundelis capitalises and goes through as they come down towards Forest Elbow right now. He's got Richard Lyons and Oscar Mangan right behind him now into Forest Elbow on the exit now. Dowling really now starting to stack these guys up behind him now. Rob Moore going to try capitalise here. Down towards the chase they come, tucking into the slipstream of the car in front as they come now down towards the chase. You can see Rory O'Shea getting past Tony Stack on the inside. Through they go again. The Dempseys are getting really close together up front as well. Peter Dempsey's worked to get up to his brother here. Down towards the next corner they come. O'Shea moves up to P3. Holman, Rory O'Shea goes to P4. Holman goes through to P5, gets past Tony Stack as well. Down towards Murray's they come. Ronan Doherty looking on the outside of the next corner as well. You can see Josh Malin taking no prisoners up the inside of Rob Moore. Up to P8 goes Josh Malin. He's on a great drive here, and Rob Moore now trying to get past here as they come into this next corner. Really good job from all of these guys up through these next corner now. Tony Stack after getting passed by James Holman, and you've also got Roland Doherty tucked into this one as well in this race, and Josh Malin tucked in behind them as well. 4 cars in a line up towards the mountain they come. You can see the speed they're carrying up towards the next corner. Ronan Doherty looking to the outside of Tony Stack, a little lock up from him as well as they enter the next corner. A little bit of a slow moment there for Rory O'Shea. He's ended up now in a problem area. Roland Doherty all over the rear of Tony Stack, nearly leaves the door open for Josh Malin. Into the top of the mountain they come again. Malin's looking for a spacer. He knows he needs to win the race to try and keep himself in the title fight. The title's getting away from him with every passing moment. Dropping down the hill they come, looks to the inside through towards McPhillamy Park. Surely not a move on here for Josh Malin. He's got to keep patient and stay behind for now. Dropping down the mountain, Kundelis looking up the inside into the bottom of the hill. Can't quite make it stick right there. Dangerous place to have a look, but sometimes it can work if you've got a trusting driver on the outside of the corner as well. And really now there's still plenty of time left in this race. Lap 3 of 15 as we ride on board with Kundelis. You can see it's getting stacked up in front right now. Ronan Doherty trying to get past Tony Stack. He's side by side with him. Malin's trying to find some space to get through as well. This could end up being very sketchy up towards the next corner. Doherty just about nips in front. Malin's looking for space here down towards the chase. You can see James Holman and Rory O'Shea side by side as well. Look at this, it's going to be very tight. Malin finds the room, gets past Tony Stack on the inside, and he's up to P7. Great drive so far from Josh Malin, and Rory O'Shea has managed to fend off the attack of James Holman for now as they drop down the hill into Murray's. Kundelis now trying to fend off or get past Rob Moore on the outside of the last corner, hops the curb. Kundelis gets on the power as well. Remember, Kundelis is on hand controls, so he's obviously at a major disadvantage compared to some others, but he's driving superbly up towards the first corner, hell corner, trying to get past. He's not able to do it, but he gets on the power, massive slide, bangs in the door, and race-ending huge accident. Mangan just avoids it on the way through, and he collects a number of cars right there. Just about lucky escape for some of those guys as they come up the hill. Richard Lyons and Adam Dowling side by side up through the mountain. Oscar Mangan would have just missed out by an inch through there, and now he makes a place up trying to get past Adam Dowling. Up towards the mountain they come. He's gone around the outside, and will he hold on to the place right here? Yes, he does.
No.
Oscar Mangan is up to P10, and the title's getting closer with every lap.
And we're just looking at two guys here that, I said this from the start, Oscar just isn't going to sit back and do the 60%. He's going to fight the whole way up. How close was he getting to being collected up in that whole mess? But he's still showing us that he's a racer around the outside of Adam Dowling. That is no easy feat at all. And all the time up front, I'm just watching this. So you've got, we're getting a replay here actually, Jack. Like this, if anyone hasn't driven this track, this is near impossible just to get around that corner anyway, let alone racing on the outside. So Oscar's showing us why he's one hand on that trophy right now, Jack. But just while I have everyone's attention, I'm just going to try a social experiment. Nicky Meredith popped into my head as I was watching all of that, and somewhere right now, poor Nicky's just probably tripped on his shoelace or fell off a stool or something. But that is exactly what is making this championship. How did Oscar manage to avoid all of that? And then you have other drivers, Jack, who just for no reason at all get caught up in it, right? Like we've seen it time and time again with Nicky when he was racing with us. So that's really what you need to win a championship at Digital Motorsports, isn't it, Jack? You need to be able to just get that luck, stay out of that trouble, and be able to finish the race.
Yeah, right there we saw it. What an overtake from Josh Malin. Ronan Dartley wasn't exactly happy with him, shutting the door on the exit. Mangan makes a place past Richard Lyons up to P9. He goes right. And a massive slide on the pushing on here, Oscar Mangan. He wants to get up as far as he can in this race and really make sure he secures the championship. He's got one hand on it now. Josh Malin made a very, let's say, robust move on Ronan Doherty into the chicane past the chase, and now he's got James Holman in front of him and Rory O'Shea. After that, he's got 3 seconds to make up to McManus, who is a further 6 seconds off the back of the leaders. So it's a big task up ahead. Brian's driving very, very well up in P3, has to be said, with a cleaner car this time compared to the previous race, but he's got all the guys behind him battling. There's Keith and Peter up the front together, and we know these two will race each other to the flag, and there's no kind of team orders at play here. Once they get towards the end of the race, they will race each other hard and see if they can get themselves a win, see if we can get Keith on the top step again. Peter's taken a win already this season, and Keith of course was involved in the championship fight, missed a few rounds, but let's see if he can get a win in the last round of the championship here. Batters, he's back with Oscar Mangan up underneath Tony Stack this time, trying to get past here. He gets very wide, Tony Stack, and that's all the opportunity that Oscar Mangan needs to get past right now. But of course he compromised his exit. Richard Lyons got the best exit that time. Mangan's going to be in a little bit of trouble here down towards the chase. Lyons is trying to find some space. He finds enough to just get a nose alongside up towards the chase. That's not really ideal, and he tucks back into the slipstream of Oscar Mangan here, not going to try and get past it. Look at that, Josh Malin, another place up to P5, but Holman's off the road in the rear, and let's see if we can see the move here. Throws it up the inside into the chicane, and just about to start. Holman just got loose in the rear back there. No contact. Malin made the move cleanly, and he's now up to P5. Now he's got Rory O'Shea as his next target right here, and see if he can make up another place to get himself up to 4th right here. Both Josh and Oscar are driven brilliantly, and Oscar is now behind him. P6, Oscar Mangan, there he is in the back. Here comes Malin on O'Shea. Up towards the hill they go alongside. O'Shea's not really got a lot to fight with here. Malin now going to make it up to 4th place. Lay it on the brakes, gets in front in the braking zone, so confident, and makes it up to P4. Now 3 seconds up to the next car, but Oscar Mangan, remember, he started 19th, and he's now up to P6. But now back to the Dempseys. They are closer than they were on the previous lap. Peter's been behind Keith for the whole race so far, and they're now 7 seconds ahead of McManus and the rest. So they have a really good hold on this race so far, but we're approaching half distance on the next lap. And now we'll see, once we get to that phase, if they're going to make any moves on each other. But Keith is controlling the pace right now, and a very, very familiar territory being out in the front for Keith. As we now look back at Ronan Doherty and Adam Dowling. Ronan trying to get past Adam Dowling, which is not going to be an easy task. Of course, Ronan just had involved in that incident on the previous lap with James Holman, and now they drop down the hill. getting close to that wall. Dropping down to Forest Elbow now. Ronan trying to make up some lost positions here. Big lock up there from Adam Dowling. Very easy to do that when the car unloads on the left wheel. And very easy to under-rotate. Here comes Ronan Doherty now in the slipstream of Dowling. And he got a great run out of Forest Elbow now. He's got the slipstream, he's got the run. This should be relatively easy for Ronan Doherty now. He's nearly on the grass though. Big squeeze from Adam Dowling that time. But he gets the space this time and Doherty slots through up ahead. But Adam Dowling is not letting him have it easy. Breaks through the chicane. Around the outside goes Doherty. That's a great overtake from Ronan Doherty on the brakes. Bravely made it stick. And he moves up into P9. Look at that from Josh Medley. He had the fast lap taken away by Oscar Mangan. 204.8 for Oscar Mangan. And they're the only two that are the fastest guys on the circuit at the moment. And Josh has brought the gap down to Brian by almost 2 seconds in one lap. Look at that. On that previous time, 2:05.0 to a 2:07.1. And they're catching the leaders at 2 seconds a lap. That just shows you, Niall. These guys are going 2 seconds a lap faster than the Dempseys. They're unbelievably fast.
It's like, I'm shocked at this point, Jack, just to say it, but like week in, week out, we keep saying it. The level of concentration, precision, and just competition in this league with Digital Motorsports just keeps getting better week in, week out. Championship by championship, and we've all come here to see everyone here racing, but we're not even halfway. Well, we're just reaching the halfway point of this race, and still all to play for in the championship, even because Oscar's decided not to do the just play the numbers game. He's all in here, right? He wants to. Well, he's closing in the back of Rory Shea to say that, but he wants to get up on the back of Josh Mail and just prove once and for all why he deserves to be the IDMC championship for the V8s.
Yeah, Josh has already caught and passed Brian McManus. He's up to third already. And of course, teammates now, so they're not going to fight each other too hard. Slot 3, you can see Mangan in the background going to do the same on Rory O'Shea. They're not teammates. Here comes Oscar Mangan now, and he's up to fifth now with that move as well. And they continue their climb, top 5 for Oscar Mangan, and he continues his rapid climb now back to the Dempseys up front. They're now fighting hard, it looks like, up at the top of the field. 2:06 point. They've done the exact same lap time of that previous time now. Dempsey versus Dempsey at the head of the field now, and Josh May, that's exactly what he wants to see, these two fighting. And if he keeps catching at the rate he's catching, then he will catch them in a couple of laps time. A second lap would see him catching in a couple of laps time. He needs a bit more than that, actually, because there's still a bit of time to go in this race. As now look at Peter Dempsey nearly threw it down the inside right there. And we know from interviewing these two that they do not give each other positions. They will, well, Peter put it this way, in previous rounds, if he'd let Keith through, he would have got a slap. So they're going to fight each other hard for this race win. And we now see Ronan Doherty now catching up to the rear of Tony Stack, who's inside the top 10. James Holman's had to come into pit lane to take a fast repair, and he's on his way out now. As they come up the hill now, Ronan Doherty trying to get past Tony Stack as he enters the mountain, gets on the power. Now he's a little bit, can't really make a move stick through here. He got it single file through here, really. It's barely wide enough to fit a car through. And they try their best to just still keep it out of the wall here. But you can see the speed they carry through this part of the track, dropping down through McPhillamy Park, and on the power down the mountain they come again, undoing all the work they did to climb it. Back down the hill they go, a little snatch of the brake from Tony on the way through, and a little bit wide on the exit as well, but still there's not a lot of places to pass here. Then now they arrive down to Forest Elbow, going to try and look up the inside. Tony leaves him the room. That is brave. Good on the brakes from Doherty, and he does get in front. As we now look, Oscar Mangan is alongside McManus, I can tell you that. We can't tell it from that shot, but you'll see him flash through on the inside. There he goes, Oscar Mangan, P4. He moves up to now, and with each overtake, he secures himself the title. Here comes Adam Dowling on Tony Stack as well, just trying to get past the same move, and he does get through up into P9 now for Adam Dowling as he continues a good run here. As we look at the lap times, 205.9, 206.4, 205.2. Another second and a bit taken out by Josh Malin on that lap, but Oscar Mangan is lapping in the 204s, so he's going even quicker than the guys up front at the moment, and they continue to lap around here. This is going to be pretty tight. If Josh keeps catching at about a second a lap, this is going to be a pretty close finish between these guys. Of course, there's 7 laps to go on this lap, and the gap is 6.4, so he needs to keep up this pace advantage to catch up to Keith and Peter. So this will go right to the flag, as it always does with this race. But I think I'm sensing now that we're going to get a last round fight between Josh and Oscar, which would be a great way to round the championship off, even if it is in vain for Josh Malin anyway. You can see now they continue to fight. That was Keith off the road for a moment there through McPhillamy Park. You can see the little red flash as he went off the circuit. Down the mountain they come, grazing the wall on the left, and Keith is still in the lead. But look at that, the gap drops to 5.8 now, so it's continued to dropping at a rapid pace between these two. Oh, Peter's going to lose it on the brakes. Has he saved it yet? Great save there from Peter Dempsey, but that's going to drop him 0.8 of a second back from his brother. Crossed it up on the brakes. Down through Forest Elbow. That's very, very, very easy to do, I can tell you. But now the gap 4.9 to Josh Malin. You can actually see him, right? You can actually see him coming through the part of the circuit right now. There he is, coming through the chase, and the guys up front will be able to vaguely see him. He can see them now, so that's his target, Josh Malin, for this race victory. If he can, this would be some drive from Josh if he can get up to the victory here. But Oscar's bearing down them. A second and a half is the gap. It was 1.9, it's dropped to 1.5. Peter's in front as they come round the last corner. Peter Dempsey's taking the lead of this race. They're side by side down towards turn 1, and Peter slots in front of Keith to take the lead at Bathurst. And Oscar Mangan is a new fastest lap on that race of 204.6 as the fight begins now. There's Josh, there's Oscar. This could get really interesting now. Dempsey, Malin, Mangan up towards the hill now. He's braking. Keith is not going to pass him up the hill now. It's too hard to do that up the hill, but this is going to get really interesting now. As you see, look, Keith just locked it up and Peter went straight through. Didn't need a second invitation there.
Unbelievable. And with that fastest lap, that's 60% of the race completed for Oscar Mangan. So technically, unless the stewards have seen something we haven't, Jack, that means Oscar Mangan, no matter what happens from this point on, is the IDMC V8 champion. But we'll wait to confirm all of that. That's provisional. But right now, it just doesn't stop, Jack, does it? We got 5 laps to go. We've got 4.5 seconds from Josh Malin. Oscar Mangan is closing in on the back of him. He wants to see this out like the champion that he is. He's not content to just sit there, Jack, and just say, okay, I'm just going to coast this around. He wants to prove why he's number 1 for this season of IDMC.
Absolutely, and he's bearing down on Josh Malin, brought it down to 0.7 of a second. Keith Dempsey had an off on that lap. He went off at McPhillamy Park, and he's now 1.5 seconds behind his brother, and Josh Malin is 2.9 off the rear of him as well. So now these guys are on a charge to try and catch up to the leader here. You can see, look at the gap they've got. You can see there's Peter coming over the crest, there's Keith, and then you can see Josh and Oscar coming over the top of the crest, the two championship rivals. The flash of the lights from Josh as he comes over the crest, and he can see now his familiar foe coming over the crest behind them as well, Oscar Mangan, through the chicane of the chase. And remember, the fights these guys have had have been absolutely superb throughout the season, and you can see the positions they've made up as well. Mangan starting P19, he's up to 4. Josh Malin starting 15th, up to P3, and now he's got to try and once again fend off the attack of Oscar Mangan, even though it's not going to be much. 204.6 again on that time. Here comes Rory O'Shea making the move on Brian McManus into turn 1 through Hell Corner, and Brian trying to keep it on the outside. Has to check up though. Good driving from Rory O'Shea to cover off the line there on the outside, but Brian will now get the slipstream up towards the mountain. They come again, moving to the outside of Rory. Up and over the crest they come, and it'll still be neck and neck up until they get to the braking zone. McManus still just braving it out around the outside, and he's going to try to keep it in, but it's too hard to do that at that corner. The camera drags you wide, and he keeps it behind. Back to Mangan and Malin together again at P3 and P4. And we can say for sure if Mangan gets past Malin, championship is definitely sealed down through this next part, McPhillamy Park, in just a moment's time. The gap is increasing up to Peter Dempsey, 2 seconds back to his brother now, and Malin continuing to bring the gap down to 2.2, 2.1 up to Keith Dempsey now. But they're running out of laps here. They need to keep the pace up here as they now drop down towards Forest Elbow. I can sense a move from Mangan coming at the end of the Conrad straight. Big lock up from Dempsey up through the Forest Elbow. They come again now on the power. Oscar Mangan now in the slipstream of Josh Malin in front, and this seems to me now is going to be quite a relatively easy move to make. Down towards the chase they come in the slipstream of his rival. Mangan moves to the inside, no fight put up by Josh Malin whatsoever. Mangan moves up to third in this race, and with that is the nail in the coffin, but Malin is diving it back up the inside again, and he's keeping it in now, side by side between the two championship contenders, and Malin is keeping his foot in. He has to brake, there's no space, and Mangan makes his way through. A little flash of the light, there's a little bit of respect given to Oscar Mangan there. Superb between the both of them there. But now I think Malin's going to try and stick with Mangan to try and get up to the leaders here. But Malin, he did everything he could there to try and keep Mangan behind. But the pace of Mangan was too much, and the bravery from the both of them was too much as they now try to catch up. But now Mangan 1.8 behind Keith Dempsey. But Malin is definitely not out of this. If he can keep with Mangan here, there is still an opportunity for him to get maybe a podium out of this, and the both of them have it driven from the back of the grid here. But Malin now trying to keep with his rival here, but it looks like Mangan just has the measure of him today with the pace in race 2 compared to race 1. And still lots of times now Oscar Mangan bringing the gap down to 1.4 seconds. He's built the gap to 7/10 back to Malin already in this race. So it seems now Mangan is absolutely on a mission to win this race if he can, but he's got to get past Keith as quickly as he can and catch up to the rear of Peter Dempsey. So if Mangan wins this is going to be a champion's drive. It's a champion's drive anyway at the moment, but if he can get a win out of this from 19th on the grid, the last row of the grid, then that is absolutely worthy. Here comes now Mangan. He's now up to 8/10 behind Keith. Big slide from Keith there on the exit of the Forest Elbow. Now Mangan's going to get a run here, but it's not going to be enough to close up or get past Keith on this lap anyways. You can see the lap time difference on the previous lap. That's, well, Peter's not exactly lapping slowly, but Oscar 2:05.0 versus 2:05.66 tenths per second gained on that lap. And you can tell now, but the 3 laps to go on this time by, and Keith is under now a lot of pressure from Oscar Mangan. These guys, they fought each other many times, but Oscar's now got a great run up to the last corner. Keith's going to defend that inside. Here comes Mangan now. Can't find the room. Dempsey defends it nicely. Mangan looking for the run on the outside. Keith, so much traction. Gets on the grass, and he's alongside Keith. Gets sideways. Keith squeezes him to the grass right there, and he defends it with everything. Up towards the first corner they come again, and Malin is suddenly back in it now. Up towards the corner. He's on the grass again, Mangan. Keith is defending this with everything. Here comes Malin again. Up the mountain. Malin's back in front once again in this race. And Malin is dead to Jesse. He's going to try for a double overtake. Malin's going for the double on the outside line. Up towards the right-hander, banging doors. And Dempsey hangs onto it. But Mangan goes through, and he's going to go for the double now on the outside. But Keith, what a defensive display. He's keeping the champions behind him. These are 3 champions fighting it out at Bathurst. You can't get better than this. Look at Malin on the inside of the mountain. Mangan leaves him space on the inside. Superb through from these two side by side up the mountain. Surely not. Malin is in front again. 3 champions. The 3 champions in Digital Motorsports are fighting it out at Bathurst. This is giving Peter Dempsey a great gap to get away.
I don't know, Jack. I give up at this stage. I just give up. How can it just keep getting more and more exciting? Oh my God! How do they not have contact there as we look? Great camera view. Well done to Ron Hederman with this. This is unbelievable. But keep showing us why he's a multiple champion in IDMC here. He's holding both Josh and Oscar behind him and schooling them. This reminds me of Lewis Hamilton and Alonso. Keith is just absolute masterclass here, Jack, in how defensive driving and how it should be done as now they start the weaving back down to Conrad straight. And I'll let you talk us through this, Jack, because I'm burnt out.
Yeah, look at this. Malin going to go through huge contact.
Contact! No!
Bathurst. Keith is massively into the wall on the chase. Malin's in the wall as well. He's going to be trying to keep the car going. A massive crash at Bathurst, and Malin spins out of contention for the title with a huge crash with Keith Dempsey into the straight. Keith's car is somehow still going. That was one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen. Look at this. On the way through the chase, Keith tries to turn in and collects Malin. Mangan goes through, avoids the crash, but they almost now, I could almost sense they were nearly aiming for the jump there, but Malin now, Dempsey gets into the rear Malin again, and they do hit the jump, but Keith hits the wall with a huge impact there. Limps the car back to pit lane, but oh, you gotta feel for Josh there. What a fight they had throughout that race, and luckily for Josh, he's managed to keep the car going, but unfortunately for him, that is title chances over in this race. And I mean, it was such a good fight, and I think it was just, it was such a hard move to make through the chase right there, but that has helped out Peter Dempsey a huge amount. He's now got 8 seconds back to Oscar Mangan. Rory O'Shea is now on the podium, but wow, Josh is sideways everywhere. He's got a massive amount of damage on that car, but Peter Dempsey, he's kind of had a quiet one in the sense of everything. He's up the front, 7.5 seconds back. He's only got one more lap after this. So barring any mistakes, is going to be another victory for him. But Oscar now, all he's got to do, he's definitely the champion in waiting now. 7.5 seconds back. He just needs to keep it together for one more lap. And I think you were right about the lucky charm or something, Niall, because he's avoided yet another accident right in front of him at the fastest part of the circuit. This is obviously written the stars for him today.
It's something we've seen time and time again, as not taken away from anyone at all who's taking part in the championship, but what we've seen from people who do end up winning an IDMC or Digital Motorsports Championship is they just seem to get that rub of the green, Jack. They just, we've said it about Jordan, we've said it about Keith many times, we've said it about Josh Malin, and now Oscar Mangan as well. They just seem to keep their noses clean and stay out of trouble, and yet, you know, probably somewhere Nicky Meredith is picking himself up off the floor going, what the hell just happened? Every time we mention Nicky, next thing he's in an accident. So it just seems to be like, to win at this, it's not just to be fast, it's not just to have the racecraft, and it's not just to be able to be consistent. You also have to have that unbelievable just luck, just to stay out of those accidents when they happen.
Absolutely, yeah. Final lap of the season, and Josh and Ronan are just battling it out for position here, but I can tell you Brian McManus is pushing for a podium here. He's been passed by Rory O'Shea, but he's only about half a second off the back of Rory O'Shea as well. That battle's going to go right to the flag between those two, and it'd be great to get Brian on the podium in the last round. We're on board with Rory O'Shea now, but look at Brian McManus. There he is in the Holden Commodore, hunting down Rory O'Shea in this final round of the season, and he just needs to keep at about that distance around this whole next section, get a run out of Forest Elbow, and he may be able to get this move done and move into P3 here, but there's only a couple of corners left for this race. Peter Dempsey's entering the Conrad Straight right now, and he'll only have a few more corners left to go before he takes a victory in this one. But as well, we're now officially about to crown a champion in this series as well. Rory O'Shea gets a good exit there, and I think Brian might have a bit of problem trying to get past him. That gap is too large to get a run on him towards there, but he'll give it everything anyways. Will Brian McManus. Here comes Peter Dempsey, a superb drive today, and he is going to get himself another victory in this championship, the final race of the season. Round the last corner, last round goes to Peter Dempsey. He wins at Bathurst, but 7 seconds behind him. We crowned it incorrectly last season. What a drive! 19th to P2. Oscar Mangan is the champion of the IDMC V8 Supercar Cup. He's finished in P2 after starting on the last row of the grid. Rory O'Shea is P3, Brian McManus in P4, floor. He manages to get it just behind Rory there. Richard Lyons top 5, and a run to the line between Malin and Doherty. 200s across the line between the both of them. A hat tip to Josh Malin. He gave it everything today, and what a superb battle it was in the end between himself, Keith, and Oscar. But unfortunately, he was the unfortunate victim of the contact. Adam Dowling, P8, Tony Stack, and Arturas Cundalis, P10, and then Peter McCann, P11, and Keith Stewart, Ben McClockery, and then a number of drivers who didn't make the checkered flag. But Oscar, you could tell across the line, he knew he did enough, but what a drive. What a drive. 19th up to 2nd. And, well, you cannot take anything away from this guy. He has dominated the championship. He has shown what he's made of it, and he's only the 2nd person in Digital Motorsports history as he drifts around McPhillamy Park there. He's the 2nd person in Digital Motorsport history to win more than one championship. The only other person to do that was Keith Dempsey. He's now the only other person, a 2-time champion in the Digital Motorsports series as well. So fair play to Oscar. He's been a monster this season, and Josh, I wonder if he's been in more rounds, could it have been closer? We'd have to wait and see. But Oscar, absolutely a deserving champion in this season, and a multiple Digital Motorsports champion now as well, to join Keith on that list.
Yeah, and we'll get these guys in for an interview as soon as we can. But I'm just looking at Oscar here going around. Even on his in-lap, Jack, he just looks crazy fast, right? So obviously these cars are just really suiting him, but 2-time champion in Digital Motorsports, that is an accolade in itself, and it'll be interesting to see as we can now announce that we're going to be going with LMPs, LMP2 and GD3s for our next IDMC Digital Motorsports.
Well, Brian, take the jump.
Here we go, Brian. Going for the T-shirt. Let's go, Brian.
Brian.
So it's all up for grabs, and we've got a lot of, like, we didn't have Jordan tonight, right? So Jordan's out there getting his Formula V ready. We've got a couple other big drivers to come back, race with us, but we cannot take away from what Oscar has done there, especially coming from 19 all the way up to 2nd place. Fair enough.
Here we go.
Here we go. It's all going to start happening now.
Hey, brilliant! Look at these. These cars can take that jump so well across the top of that one. Oh dear! Oh my God, Peter! Adam Dowling.
T-shirt for Adam Dowling. That one's beating that one. But Jack, just before we get into the interviews, I wanted to take some time out because you've been doing all these interviews for all the championships, but I wanted to take a minute to interview you. And you've got a lot going on at the moment, so we never get to hear from Jack. Jack, fill us in. What's going on? You got lots of exciting news.
Well, you kind of put me on the spot. Yeah, I suppose I've got big endurance race coming up at the weekend, working with the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. Believe it or not, they're doing their official 24-hour sim race there. I'm involved with that.
Well,
there's
blow that yourself. Tell us about it. How's that going to work? A 24-hour virtual race sponsored by Circuit Catalunya. You're on a team. That's not just something it comes across every day. That is awesome, Jack. Tell us, like, come on, that's huge for you, right?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it's my 2nd year of doing it. I did it last year as well, so it was nice to be asked back as well to do it. So I didn't do a bad job last year, but yeah, it's on iRacing as well, supported by the circuit as well. So they're funding everything, and we've got obviously a 6-man team this year. We had a 4-man team doing the broadcast last year. That was hard going. I won't lie. With 4 of us trying to cover 24 hours, we've got 6 of us doing it this time. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's obviously going to be streamed on YouTube and Twitch as well. So if you head over to, I think it's the Twitch channels and the YouTube channel of Mundo GT, you'll find it on there. If you want to keep up on it, it's on Saturday. So if you want to have a look at that, feel free. Guys like Williams are involved, and you've got Team Fordzilla are in there as well, and plenty of like top teams as well. But it was just nice to be asked back, I suppose.
We've got a question in here from Lawrence, right? And it's the best question I think we could ask you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I'm going to answer that for you, Jack, right? Right here on Digital Motorsports.
That's right. That was my answer.
Yeah. what more do you need, Jack? Like,
Exactly.
let's bring in Oscar Mangan, well, will we do it that way, or will we go with Oscar at the end? I think let's talk to Josh first. Actually, I'll let you speak to Josh because he just drove his heart out there, and let's see what Josh has got to say.
Yeah, Josh is with me now. Josh, welcome in. A great day of racing in the end. P1 in Heat Race 1, which, believe it or not, kept you alive in the championship right to the very last race. But a huge accident in the feature race. But either way, a superb display of racing was between some of you today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just got a really good start again. I seem to like starting off the line in these cars. And just gapped Oscar and the rest of the field off the line, and just kept my nose clean. I didn't have any incidents with the wall, which is very, very easy to do here, and just managed to bring the win home. Shame about the incident in race 2. I mean, I don't know whether from where I'm sat, it was blatantly obvious what the whose fault was there, but I'll wait to look at the replays again. But from what I'm told, it was a bit blatant, so a bit unfortunate, but it was my corner. I held my line and I just got drove into the back of.
Yeah, I can confirm. I've heard from the stewards; they're actually looking at it right now, Josh. So we'll leave that to them to come back. But as always, we said it before the race. We said it in the drivers' meeting. This track just seems to be your Achilles heel. It just breaks your heart on so many occasions. And, once again, you drove your heart out. So we couldn't believe it, myself and Jack, when you watched back over the stream. Like with the first race when Oscar was out, there was 1 point left in it, but there's no taking away from what Oscar did all through this championship. And a nice little touch. You were flashing the lights because that was a sweet move that he pulled on you, and I think you just gave a nice gentleman's tip of the hat and waved him on. But there's no taking away from what Oscar's achieved here, right?
Yeah, no, of course. Oscar's driven absolutely superbly throughout the whole season. I mean, credit to him and congrats on the championship, because I think the best man won. That's for sure. But yeah, no, when he got past me in the feature race, I didn't realise he was sort of that close behind me. And then as soon as he was sort of on the straight, he got the slipstream and came past. Tried fighting him, but then I thought, right, okay, let's just sort of drop back and try and catch the Dempseys in front, and unfortunately that ended in tears.
Yeah, well, look, Josh, I'll ask you the one question that I think everyone is waiting for you to answer is: are you coming back for the next championship? Because it's going to be LMPs and it's going to be GT3s, and we're not announcing the tracks yet, but I'm sure that'll be music to your ears.
Yep, you can bet I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, listen, as always, Josh, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you real soon, and best of luck with your real racing. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you off?
I mean, obviously, a shout out to you guys for hosting another fantastic championship. It's a real pleasure to be a part of. And then, obviously, to all my real world partners, Damien from the Car Guys, Mike Ashker Porsche, got Scale Electric on the car as well in real life. So they hopefully might be on board next year. And then to all my friends and family who've been constantly supporting me through all of this. Really appreciate it.
Super stuff, Josh. Talk to you real soon.
Cheers, Niall. See you later.
Right, Jack. Let's bring in Peter Dempsey. See if we can get Peter Dempsey in here, because that was one hell of a drive, Peter. Talk us through it from your perspective.
Yeah, it was good. I had a good run there in these cars the last few times, but obviously it was myself and Keith got a good start, and obviously two of us not fighting for a championship was, it made a change. We were able to get to race each other, so we raced there pretty hard, and then we realised that Josh and Oscar are coming, and he made a slight mistake at the last corner and allowed me to get by, and then after that I was able to get away a little bit from him, and then I don't know what happened behind me, but it looked like the three of them were having a good old race, and they just got together there with a few laps to go.
Yeah, so it looked like a tricky one, but certainly we obviously see it we've seen it multiple times over the championship. Yourself, Keith, running together, and well, obviously there never seems to be any kind of team wars between yourselves. You like to race each other hard.
Yeah, we like to race each other hard, but always give ourselves just enough room. Obviously, it looks like Keith and Josh seem to struggle with that side of things themselves, But obviously, me and Keith always race fair. Sometimes you come together here and there, but always more of a mistake than anything else. So it was good fun there too. Was racing out front.
Yeah, certainly looked like you had yourself a nice clear gap behind at the end as well. But as well, of course, we've just officially announced the championship for next season, LMPs and GT3s. Is that going to be something you're going to be involved with?
Is that a P2 car or the
LMP2, yeah.
P2? Yeah, P2 car is a bit more fun to drive than the P1. So yeah, I'd probably look into doing that. Obviously, it depends on our schedule, but looking forward to doing that. Obviously, we might get to do some races at Le Mans and whatever your schedule is going to be. So I look forward to it.
Yeah,
And
cool.
tell us a little bit. Sorry, for cutting across, Jack. A lot going on in Turn 3 Motorsport at the moment. What news have you got coming up there? There's been some impressive driving, and of course you've got where are you next weekend, Peter?
Yeah, we've been flat out. Actually, a bit of a turnaround there for the season. We got some of our better results over the last 2 weeks, which is great. Next year's looking pretty good. We're looking to expand into more cars in Indy Pro and sticking with 3 cars in USF 2000. So things are moving the right direction. I actually have a little bit of a break with the Road to Indy stuff until Mid-Ohio, which is early October. And then as soon as Mid-Ohio is over, straight into our winter test program for 2022. So I'm going to be super busy in the off season, and then along with the new car coming for 2022 with the Halo and improved safety in the car all over, side intrusion panels and stuff. So it's a very similar update kit to what the GB3 are getting in the UK. All Tatus chassis. So going to be a busy winter, and looking forward to a successful 2022.
Yeah, it's great. James Rowe going well for you as well. Of course, picking up the pole, I think was in Motorsport Park, right? So great team. And as always, it's always a pleasure, Peter. I know you're in a different time zone than we're racing here, and you really put in an effort. And a great show tonight. Real dominant display. So thanks, and hopefully we see you again for the next round. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just all you lads for making it happen. Digital Motorsports come a long way over the past few seasons from when we were racing the MX-5s there. I think it was a Assetto Corsa, which was still great crack, for me. But obviously, you've grown huge, and it's great to follow. So congratulations, and look forward to doing more racing with you guys. It's the only championships to race. Obviously, it's great fun racing with all the lads from home. So congrats, and looking forward to the next season.
Well, likewise, Peter. It's always a pleasure, and best of luck with your own endeavours over the winter. So let's move on to our. I'll let you do the honours here, Jack. But Oscar Mangan, are officially crowned champion now. I'm hearing, so everything is squeaky clean. Jack, over to you, and Oscar, well done.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely do it this time, Oscar. Definitely champion this time this week. Yeah, what a drive from the back of the grid in race 2. After, well, I suppose we'd call it a dramatic race 1. Just talk us through what happened. We actually didn't see it on the stream. Just talk us through what happened in race 1.
Yeah, I suppose I sort of unintentionally caused drama, but I just at the top of the hill after Forest Elbow, I guess I hit the inside curb and it threw me a bit wide, and I brushed against the wall. But I don't know if there's. I'm assuming I know there's radiator damage or something like that, but I must have kinked something anyway. And by the time I came down the pit straight or the back straight, then it was flashing that I had a meatball, and I was planning on finishing the race anyway, even with the meatball, because it was barely any suspension damage. But just as I got to the pit entry, the engine just blew up. So I probably could have towed. I didn't realize. I kind of went, oh, well, I can't fix this. I knew there's a faster pair, but I even couldn't get to the end of the pit lane, so I just kind of sat there and just reminisced about what I did wrong. But I knew I had basically had to have a complete disaster in both races to not get the points. So I just kind of went to go get a glass of water and came back.
Yeah, to fair enough, the cap was ended up 49 points in your favour anyway. It's going to take an absolute disaster anyways. But yeah, race 2, from 19th up to P2 in the end. Some hard fights, especially with Josh and with Keith. Obviously fighting with 2 former champions in the series as well. But you've now become a multiple champion in Digital Motorsports. So a very exclusive club you've joined now, Oscar. Just Keith Dempsey has more than one championship. Yeah,
I'm really, really happy to get it done. I I came back to this series after probably it must be nearly a year break, and these cars are definitely one of my favorites on the service. So as soon as I saw it kind of pop up around the new year that these would be run later on the summer, I kind of noted that down in the calendar that I'd like to have a crack at this again. So yeah, really happy to get it kind of all sealed up, said and done. Josh was definitely a fantastic opponent to race against. He definitely had the pace, definitely had the starts on me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have a heavy left foot or something like that off the clutch. But yeah, no, great racing of him and the Dempseys as well throughout this season. Unfortunately, they couldn't participate in every round, but I'm sure if they did, they would have been right there. So yeah, no, really happy to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. We've officially now announced the next series as well, LMP2s and GT3s. Very different compared to what we've just had there. Is that going to be something you're going to consider taking part in?
I'll have to see. I'm kind of thinking about taking a break from sim racing, just maybe for a month or two, just to kind of relax and stuff like that. I've been kind of basically racing non-stop since around this time last year, so I'm waiting on kind of a bit of equipment to install, and I'm looking at PC parts and stuff like that. So I'm just going to kind of take the month or two off and just put my feet up, and I'll probably watch the next season and be cheering on from the sidelines.
Brilliant stuff. Well, we all need a break now and then. Oscar, before we let you off, celebrate the championship, anyone you'd like to give a quick thank you to or shout out to while we're still alive?
Yep. Definitely big shout out to you guys for running the whole series. It's been fantastic from the off. I keep my eye on this anyway throughout the year, and definitely hats off to Niall and Rob and yourselves in the commentary booth and everyone for organising just a great series. It's mad how competitive it is at just a national level. So really happy to be racing here, and thanks as well to Core Sim Racing for the support in the background and giving me the prop on the back to keep pushing on and keep improving.
Well, absolutely. Well, Oscar, congratulations on the championship, multiple champion. Even if we don't see it in next championship, I'm sure we'll see you in a future championship. Congratulations on your victory in the championship tonight, and best of luck.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, Mo.
Well, that seals it. So it's looking like we're not going to have Oscar next season, which I'm sure some of the lads will be. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many people we should and probably ought to bring in to say thanks, but we don't have time in this stream, Jack, right, to bring everyone in. But from our side, just one thing I would like to say is a huge shout out to Ronan Hederman. He's been actually running the streams for the first time, Jack. He's made one hell of a show of me. He's got replays working. The camera work has just been absolutely awesome. So just a huge shout out to Ronan. This is his first season with us officially with Digital Motorsports, and he's like, it's just come up a whole notch, right, in terms of the quality of the streams and that. And that's allowed me to, for the first season ever, sit back and just watch them and enjoy as we watch Fabrizio Rivero here going for his jump. But I don't know, Jack. We say it every season. It's not BS. It just keeps getting better. You heard it from Oscar Mangan there. It's, one of the toughest, if not the toughest championships that he's racing in. And it's so hard to predict. Like, of course, coming in, Oscar would have been one of the favorites. So would Josh. But as I said, anyone who's finishing in top 10 in this championship tonight, I should be seriously proud of that achievement, because it is not easy to go out there and to do this as we watch all these jumps, the guys having fun at the end. But
Tony.
But like we just keep building it, and the LMP2s, all I'm going to say to everyone is we just keep saying it. As long as the drivers keep bringing it and keep getting more professional and keep racing as hard as they can, Digital Motorsports is just keep coming back with bigger and better everything, streams, prizes, drivers, you name it, we've got it coming. So sit tight. It's going to be about 3-4 weeks before we're sitting and strapping into those LMPs and GT3 cars. We'll be announcing the pre-qualifiers as always. If you want to get involved, sign up to the newsletter on digitalmotorsports.com. and we'll keep you posted on when and where you can qualify to get involved in this racing. And what's left to say, Jack? I'm just blown away by tonight. I just can't believe it just keeps getting better and better and better.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we're just going to have a quick look at this. Adam Dowling, I think, has won the jump contest.
Well, we've got to see what happened. Like, does he land it? It has to be a land 4-wheel thing. He does.
Yeah, he
right?
does land it. He does land it, but it's just a massive, massive high-speed wiggle that kills him in the end. He's got Peter right behind him as well as they clear that jump. I'm actually very surprised at how well these cars can take that jump. They fly completely straight. It's all in the landing, of course. So yeah, the Bathurst jump is always fun to take. It's almost a tradition, Bathurst, to take it after
we'll allow it. Usually, all these drivers would now be banned and getting talked to by the race control and clerk of the course. We did say during the drivers' briefing if they wanted to do it, go ahead. And I'm going to nominate Adam Dowling at that point. So here we go. Is the official results, Jack? So it's Peter Dempsey from Oscar Mangan, our champion, and Rory O'Shea just taking the final place in the podium from Brian McManus, and then Richard Lyons from Ronald Doherty and Josh Malin. After that accident with Keith Dempsey, Stewart still looking at that one. Adam Dowling, Tony Stack, Arturis Condelis down, rounds out our top 10. And Peter McCann, Peter actually was struggling a little bit with these cars this time around, Jack. I thought he was going to be able to go a little bit better, but it just shows how hard it is to get into that top 10. And then Keith Stewart, newcomer to Digital Motorsports, great showing, fair racing, and fair play to Keith. He was really good, and always great to see Ben McClurry there. Big shout out to Ben. I think he's one of our younger drivers, and he often shows up everybody when he shows up and puts in those laps. Keith Dempsey, and unfortunately coming together with Josh Malin, as we said. Joe Montero, always a pleasure to see Joe out racing, and James Holman, always with the elbows out, always racing fair and hard and square, but it wasn't his race today in the feature race. And then Fabrizio, Mark Burney, Robert Moore, and Kevin Shine had that really unfortunate accident. I believe it was lap 1, Jack. But what's there left to say to round this out other than just an unbelievable? We knew it was going to be epic, right? Mount Panorama and V8s. There's no better pairing in my mind in motorsports, especially in iRacing right now. But onwards and upwards, Jack.
Yeah, I think so. And I think just before we round out, a big thank you to everyone the championship possible. So, of course, to SimuCube for sponsoring the series as well as supporting it. As always, every season, and for the generous support, and of course to ESC Gaming as well for their continued support of the IDMC as well, and to Digital Motorsports there, yourself, Niall, Ronan for running the cameras so well, to Sean and Rob for probably the worst job, the stewarding after the races as well. So fair play to them, and yeah, it's always been a pleasure to do it. And of course, Kevin, he's not here unfortunately, but big thanks to Kevin Galvin who's joined me every single week to do the commentary, and I know he was gutted to miss out tonight as well, but many thanks to yourself, Kevin, and hopefully be back for the next series. But we're taking a 4-week break here at Digital Motorsport before we come back with multi-class LMP2 and GT3s, and that's going to be a great race. And LMP2s, no ABS, and of course the GT3s, all the assists in the world, but they're going to be super close racing. But we'll hope you'll join us in about 4 weeks' time. And from all of us here at Digital Motorsports, it's been a pleasure. Normally Kevin would get to say this, but we'll see you in 4 weeks. Slán go fóill.